All right, we're going to do something about identifying patterns here. So first off, it's about painting towers. Suppose we're going to paint a tower built from cubes, okay? Based on the pattern, you're going to see in a second, use a table to find the relationship about the number of faces you got to paint and the number of blocks in the tower. Remember, we're only going to paint the sides and the top. So first off, if we're going to use kind of a little column sheet like this. And if we have one block, it looks like this. So, if we were going to paint this, we'd paint 1, 2, the back side, the other side, and the top, for a total of 5 sides. So a 1 cube high tower has 5 faces to paint. Well, let's think about this. I'm going to have 4 sides and 1 top one. 4 sides. I have 1 cube that has 4 sides and 1 top one. And that's going to give me a total of 5 to paint, right? What would happen for 2 cubes? Well, let's think about this. Now I could count them and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I know we have 9 if I was to count them, but is there a pattern here that I can see? Well, I could write 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. Or I can think of this here. How many sides are we painting on the bottom one? 4. How many sides are we painting on the top block? 4. And we're painting 1 top one. So in a sense, I have 2 blocks with 4 sides each, plus 1, making what? 9 faces to paint. Do we see a pattern starting to develop? Because now we have these 3 blocks right here. Well, let's think about it. I could count 1, 2, 3 right here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus that 1 right there makes what? 13. So I have 13 faces to paint if I just count them. Or it's kind of following this pattern right here. What do you think I'm going to have? There's 4 sides to that block, 4 sides to that block, 4 sides to that block. So 4 times 3 plus 1 makes what? 13. Well, let's look at another one. 4. Well, first off, what do you notice? That went up 4. That went up 4. How many sides do you think I'm going to have to paint now? Well, I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The back would be 9, 10, 11, 12. The side would be 13, 14, 15, 16. Plus the one on top makes what? 17 faces to paint. Is there a formula maybe I could write? Well, I have what? 4 cubes. They each have 4 sides, and then plus the 1 top one. And that would make it what? 17. Notice. 4, 4, 4, 4. These are going up by what? 4, 4, 4. One last problem here. This time it doesn't give a number. N. I'm not going to draw a picture, but think about it. Could I write a formula to represent this right here? What is constant and what is changing? Well, the 4s are technically coefficients, and the 1s are constants, and this parentheses in a sense is somewhat changing. They're kind of like a variable. I could actually use n as a variable and write a formula that's 4n plus 1 as a way to find the answer. So like I say, 4n plus 1 will give me the total number of cubes that I'm going to have to work on to draw. Well, let's kind of look at this a second. Let's kind of graph this. I'm going to talk about this one domain. I'm going to go from 0 to 5, even though we only had 4 blocks. The range, I think my highest one was somewhere about what, 17? So I'm just going to say 20. And I'm going to graph it. Notice this nice little graph here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 8, 12. And when I had 1 block, I had how many? 5 to graph. 2 blocks, I had 9. 3, I had 13. And 4, I had 17. That's what this graph would somewhat look like, kind of going at a constant rate like that right there, going up at the same particular type of a pattern. Okay? So knowing that, it seems to me that it's going to go in some sort of a pattern here. So here's my question for you to think about. How many faces are needed to be painted for a 25 cube tower? And let's try to find 2 ways of getting an answer. So you can pause and think about it a second, but I'm going to go on because you could pause and you think about it. Well, one thing I could do is kind of keep counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, count 25 and realize my numbers are kept going up by what? 4. Now that would take a long time and have to write a lot, but I would get there eventually. Notice all these numbers keep going up by 4, and I got to like 101. See that? My 25th one makes 101. Now how many of y'all want to keep counting? I don't really want to do that, but if it's a star test, I might to make sure I get it right. But is there a pattern? Remember that formula? They're going up by what? 4, right? So if I took 4 times 25, and then I add 1 for that top one, 4 times 25 is 100. Add 1 makes what? 101, which was the easier way to find the number of faces to paint for a 25 cube tower. Now let's make the question a little bit harder. How many blocks are there if I paint 25 faces? And let's explain 2 ways of getting there. Well, one thing I could do is we'll do what I did before. Well, one block had like 5, 2 had 9, 3 had 13, 4 had 17. Well, 5 will have 21, 6 would have 25, and I found it that way. Or think of it this way. I was taking 4 times a number and adding 1. So if I have to end up with 25, instead of adding 1, let's subtract 1, it makes what? 24. And then seeing how I was taking 4 times a number to get to 24, what times 4 makes 24? Well, if I take 24 and divide by 4, I get 6. That's another way to find the way to make the number of sides. Okay?